What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Joe White here, and I wanted to try something a little bit different here on the channel. We take you here from pillar to post, and everything in between. Um, I've been watching a lot of Siskel and Ebert lately because I truly believe that those two guys epitomized what movie critics should be. In fact, they're what every other critic on the internet, including myself, strives to be. We're following in their footsteps, and I feel like we've strayed away from that path a lot lately. You look at some of the angry video game nerd stuff, or James Rolfe, who is the angry video game nerd, just did like a top 5 reasons why movie theaters sucked, and I agree with him on a lot of them, from the popcorn buckets to the ads to picking your seats, stuff like that. But the way he does it and the way he presents it nowadays, he's just fallen from grace so much. Even the nostalgia critic with the constant ads and the constant skits and everything like that. Siskel and Ebert never would have dreamed of having. I mean, the closest thing that they ever did to a skit was when their earlier shows, their first few seasons, I believe it was just when they were on the air on public television in Chicago, they used to have a dog come in, and the dog represented literally it was Spot the Wonder Dog, and he was there. He hopped up on the chairs next to them, and he represented the fact that it was time to name the dog of the week or the worst movie of the week. Um, so I've been watching a lot of Siskel and Ebert lately, and one movie that they critiqued and went over was called American Pop. American Pop was released in 1981, and it is a Ralph Bakshi film. And for those who don't know Ralph Bakshi, he did Fritz the Cat. He did the Lord of the Rings um, animated movie in the 80s and or 70s. Um, Golly, he's still living. He's 87 years old. I didn't think he would still be living. But he did Fritz the Cat, he did Wizards, he did the 1978 animated Lord of the Rings, he did Fire and Ice in 83. Um, Cool World is another one that he did, which a lot of people hate on Cool World. I like Cool World. And then the last film that he did was The Last Days of Coney Island, um, which is another animated movie. It's an animated short film. I haven't seen it yet. He did Mighty Mouse in 1960 as far as being a animator. He did The Adventures of Larry and Sam. Um, let's see here. I'm trying to look and see what else he did here. He did the Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon. He worked on that. So this guy's done a lot of stuff. Um, and American Pop is a animated movie that uses rotoscope. Now, I love rotoscope. I love ever since I saw Yellow Submarine, I've been in love with rotoscoping. Um, and it follows 4 generations of Russian Jewish immigrant family of musicians, tracing their lives and careers alongside the evolution of American pop music from the earliest 20th century through the 80s. Now, the thing that I'm getting here is that um, the poster for this, what you're seeing on screen now, shows the ending character. Let me see here. Give me 1 second here. It shows the ending character of Pete, and he's standing on a CD. And I feel like that's totally misrepresented in some of the posters that I've seen. I like the original film posters. The problem is I could not find one that would fit properly here on YouTube. But go look it up. It's a brilliant movie poster, and this is a brilliant movie. I'm gonna show you what. Um, Actually, let me set the stage here. Again, it follows 4 generations uh, of a Russian Jewish family, and the first boy we meet is Zalmi. Um, he is a rabbi's son, and the rabbi gets killed in the by the Cossacks in Imperial Russia at about 1905. Him and his mother flee to New York City after the rabbi gets killed. Um, his mother is working in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, which caught on fire way back in the day in New York, and a lot of women were killed in that one. In fact, ages 14 to 24, from what I read, were killed. It was basically a sweatshop in New York City back in the day. Um, and it does a good job of representing that fire. It does a good job of representing this time period because it starts off as a silent movie with the piano music, the dun 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 dun, reminiscent of the Great Train Robbery, dun 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 dun, and then it shows like oh no, we must leave, dun 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 dun, and then it shows like the characters bouncing around with the rotor. It's a very very good opening scene. Um, then Zalmi takes to the streets of New York City, and he's recruited by Louis, a performer at a burlesque house, and he hands out chorus slips. And basically, the movie goes on and on and on and follows Zalmi all the way up to where he gets involved in organized crime. There are scenes in this movie that are right out of the God. I mean, you hold these scenes and scenes from The Godfather up there, and you can't really, you're like, oh my God, you can't really tell them apart. It's very well acted. The cast includes Ron Thompson as Tony Belinsky and Pete Belinsky, Lisa Jane Persky, Jeffrey Ripa as Zalmi, Muse Small is in this, Beatrice Cohen, Ron Kelly is in this. Um, it has a lot of good voice acting in it, and I know that not a lot of people are going to know those names. But rotoscoping, for those who don't know, is where they take these actors and they put them on a stage and they have them act out the scenes. And then they take those prints and they send them off to the animators, and the animators draw over the the basically they do like a reverse storyboard, only in animation form of the scene that was acted out. And that's what we see. It's very well animated. It's very well voice acted. I'm going to play now what Siskel and Ebert have to say about the film. I left out their kind of little synopsis. Again, it goes through these four generations. I'll explain a little bit more about it when I come back because this kind of picks up toward the tail end of the Siskel and Ebert review. But let's listen to what Siskel and Ebert had to say about the film. I'm going to come back and tell you which one I agree with. I think you might already get an idea, but watch this.
Well, it's nice to see Bob Seger, at least an animated Bob Seger, playing Night Moves, but I wonder what's the point of that scene? Is that how Bob Seger got ahead in real life? Is that why they used that song? Was he dealing drugs? The film doesn't make much sense for me. The whole movie, in fact, never really worked for me. I think the movie attempts much too much by trying to cover the whole 20th century of music and its musicians. The characters, with maybe one exception, aren't appealing. And just as I was getting involved with a single character, he was replaced by another one. So a disappointment for me, Roger.
First of all, I think you're a little unfair to Bob Seger. That character is not supposed to be Bob Seger. He just sings his song. And secondly, I like the movie a whole lot more than you did because I wasn't bothered by the fact that there were a lot of characters. I think animation makes that easier than live action, where you'd really be distracted by the constant changing of cast. I like this film. I felt one of the original things about it is that they take this immigrant family and they show it, and not in the ordinary patented rags to riches sort of way, but in a way where they're going after, instead of success or happiness, they're going after stardom, and in looking for stardom, the American dream turns on them.
Well, I think that that's incorrect. I think that these families were going after, some of the people were going after creativity, some people were going after success, some of them failed, some succeeded. I don't think that this film makes a very good connection, frankly, between the immigrant experience in America and people who have trouble with drug problems at the end. I find that it's colorful. I admire the color of the pictures. I have of all of Ralph Bakshi's pictures. But the story, for me, never really connects.
Well, I think he has a different angle on the American dream. Instead of these people trying to land on our shores and get rich and become upright citizens and so forth, the first two generations are involved in organized crime, and then after that they go into drugs, you know. And at the same time, they're very talented. They have a lot of intelligence, and they have a lot of ability on the stage. But this dream of success, this dream of get rich quick, and the rock environment and the beatnik environment and so forth, eventually destroy their dreams.
But Roger, I don't think that's what the people who were involved in the beatnik generation were interested in. I don't think that riches had anything to do with that movement. I think the film is sort of insulting to that group of people.
The film is accurate about what happened to that movement.
I don't know if it is, Roger. I really don't know.
Okay, I think we
Okay.
better call a moratorium at this
Okay.
point and talk about it after the show.
So there you have it. Siskel hated this film. It's very clear that Siskel hated this film. The fact that he does not understand that the ending character of Pete is not trying to be Bob Seger. And he does, that is not him being Bob Seger. Is as with a lot of the songs in this, they take those songs and use them as a backdrop for what's going on with these four generations of men. Much the same way that if you look at a film like Across the Universe, uses the Beatles song catalog as a backdrop of these people's lives. And if you've never seen Across the Universe before, go watch it. It's a beautiful film. If you don't like the Beatles, you're not going to like it. But I do highly recommend Across the Universe. Um, so I will say this: the first two acts of the film are brilliant. There's a scene that ends up in World War II, and I'm not going to spoil it for you because I really want you to go watch this movie. There's a scene at the end of World War II where we transition from the second to the third generation. And right after the third generation guy, Tony, leaves home, this movie falls downhill so quickly as far as the story goes. It's almost as if they were rushed when writing this script. Um, and then you get in there's a scene that happens in a town in Kansas that leads into the fourth generation, and they don't do a good job of explaining it at all. You see a visualization that Tony has of this kid who ends up being Pete, and it kind of gives you the idea that this kid is his son. But I just thought this was a random kid who showed up in the third act of the film, in the middle of the third act, and is just there. I never get the impression until somebody explained it that this was this guy's son. Um, and there are a lot of the good. Um, there's a lot of good dialogue in this movie too. There's one point where the second generation guy um, ends up, he ends up in kind of an arranged marriage, arranged to the mob boss that he's working for, and he asks his wife because it's clear that his wife doesn't know him and he doesn't know her all that well. It's an arranged marriage. And they are in this big house and he goes, "What are we going to do with this house?" And she's like, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" And he goes, "I want to make you happy. How can I do that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's beautiful dialogue." The entire scene in Kansas that takes place in Kansas, majority of it in a cornfield, beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But I will say this: after that cornfield scene, the movie just drags downhill. Um, they go through a lot of phases in this movie. Like I said, the 20s, the 30s. You get into the swing thing. You get into the Elvis thing. You get into the. It takes a journey of music. There was that movie that came out, or that video. It was the very first or video to really make it viral on YouTube. Was the history of dance. Think of this as the history of music, but the history of music is a backdrop to this family. I found myself at the end of the movie wanting to know what happened to the third generation guy's mother. I wanted to see more of that because she goes from being a mob boss's daughter and living a very good life to almost living in like a single flat level house reminiscent of the Cunningham's house on Happy Days. And I'm going to go, why that journey? Why didn't you inherit your father's wealth? Why didn't your father help you? What was going on? And it's explained a little bit, but not very much, not very clear. Um, the soundtrack to this movie is amazing. It is amazing. It makes me want to go look at Felix the Cat and this guy's other work because I have watched the 70s or whatever version, whatever year it came out version of Lord of the Rings, the animated one. It's beautifully done too. If I had to give this movie a star rating of my own, I would have to give it a solid 3 and 3/4 stars. The only thing not giving me those, well, I'll go ahead and say 4 stars. I'll give it 4. I'll be generous here. The reason why I can't go any higher than 4 is because that third act drops off so much for me. Um, especially once Pete walks in and goes, "I want you to play one of my songs." And he starts playing Night Moves by Bob Seger, as mentioned in the Siskel and Ebert bit. And then it's just as soon as he plays Night Moves, it's boom, 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 the end. And it's not really. I felt like the third act of this movie really, really trails off. The movie's called American Pop. It came out in 1981. It is free right now on YouTube, I believe. Let me actually look because I just watched it yesterday. Um, Let me take a look and find out here. Sorry, I should have looked this up ahead of time. Yes, it is free right now on YouTube. Go watch it. You will not be disappointed in this. Let me know what you think about the movie and Siskel and Ebert's reaction. Do you agree more with Siskel? Do you agree more with Ebert? I lean towards Ebert on this one. I think Siskel totally missed the boat here. I want to try to make this into a regular series because, again, Siskel and Ebert are two of the greatest critics, if not the greatest film critics of all time. And they're the standard to me. If they say go see a movie, I go see it. I search it out and watch it. A lot of their stuff I disagree on, as you'll see in this series as we continue. But let me know what you think about American Pop. Let me know what you thought about Siskel and Ebert's review. Who do you agree with? And we'll see you down the road.
First we start with a storyboard of the live action I want to shoot. Then I pull the key live action poses that the actors did, which in turn goes to animators who have to do 15 to 25 times the drawing. And this is how it looks. When you flip each drawing, the characters move. Well, it moves if the animator is good. These drawings are put on very clear plastic cells. Every one of those drawings become a clear drawing, which in turn is painted. And if you flip the painted drawings, the character starts moving if the animator is good.
That's good. Do that again. Would you just flip that again,
Would you like
Ralph?
to see that, Gene?
Yeah, I want to see that.
This happens to be Carl Belsing, one of my finest animators. Okay? Now that's 10 or 20 or 30 times the amount of drawings that this pose has. This clear drawing is put over a background. And each drawing is shot, taken off, shot, taken off, and shot, taken off. And there in 2 minutes, you have 2.5 years of our work.
Okay, now, let's go over to that desk a minute, Ralph, because we just saw a minute and a few seconds of television of the movie. How many drawings went into that minute?
Well, this work represents about 3.5 to 4 months' work for an animator. And
how much time on screen?
15 seconds, 10.
Now, most people think, why don't you join me?
Thank you.
Most people think, Ralph, that an animator sits down and draws a movie. You should pardon the expression, like Disney did. Now, you do something different. You actually make a real-life movie, and then you sort of paint over. Isn't that cheating? Isn't that like painting by numbers?
No, I think it's an old illustrator's tool. Basically, no live-action movie can look like American Pop. If you can illustrate it, we move it. If you photographed it, that's different. We paint it, we withdraw it, redraw it. Nothing looks like American Pop.
Now, you draw backgrounds. One of the most marvelous aspects of this movie, American Pop, are the backgrounds. They look like great American paintings. There's a lot of Hopper and so forth in there, I think.
Right.
How important is the background to the animation in the front?
Well, it's everything. The mood of the scene is keyed by your background. As a matter of fact, my background artists are the new Hoppers and the new Marshes, I feel.
How long does it take you to make a full-length animated movie?
Oh, 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
How many individual drawings go into a film like American Pop?
Well, 700,000 or 800,000.
700,000 or 800,000. You save every one of those?
I would be cheating.
Suppose you took the boy and girl in the top, the live people, and put them together. Would we have a movie?
No. No, you'd have...
Just hodgepodge of individual scenes?
Oh, absolutely. What you have there is really just the key poses. It's not really a live-action movie. It just shows the animator approximately where I'd like to go.
What's the future of full-length animated features in America? Do Americans like animation?
Well, Americans have grown to like animation more, I feel. It's hard for me to say what the future will be.
What's your next film, Fast?
Hollywood, a picture on Hollywood.
About the old silent comedians?
Everything.
Everything.